Hello everyone, my name is Matt Scorpion and welcome back to another set of TWABs and hotfixes. So yeah, that is together. We got another TWAB, another set of hotfixes, which I'm not gonna lie, most of the stuff said in the hotfix is also reiterated in the TWAB, so let's get into it and get going. On a side note though, currently my birthday. I am another year older, so there's that, in case anyone wanted to give me a heads up and say, hey, happy birthday. So, starting off, for Trials of Osiris, they fixed an issue where on a 7-1 passage, we would occasionally be rewarded unfocusable engrams. On Neomuna, they reduced the prevalence of elite/orange health bar enemies to lower the base difficulty of a free roam, and fixed an issue that was causing Cabal turrets in Hamza Park to respawn too quickly. In the Root of Nightmares, they fixed the issue where Nezarec would not react to players positioned in a Well of Radiance. In terms of difficulty, they changed combat scaling in the Avalon Vexcalibur exotic mission for 2 and 3 player fire teams. They reduced enemy health in Legend Master Nightfalls, Battlegrounds, Lost Sectors, Offensives, Hunts, Legend Master campaign as well. In the terms of the UI, they also changed the commendation requirements for 7, 8, and 9 ranks is now down to 200, 477, and 910. They also removed the Guardian rank objective that require players to give commendations at rank 7, 8, and 9. Now, I'm going to honestly say, WTF, Bungie, why would you lower the number of commendations required for a Hawthorne's challenge? That was easier than the original Clan XP before, and now it is literally play Adair's of Eternity and you finish Pinnacle Challenge. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense. Then, as well, in changing some things, they reduced the number of additional scourge stacks provided by the Flare-Up artifact perk in PvP to 15, down from 30, so there isn't going to be any more of the double firebolt spam ignition sort of stuff. They also fixed an issue where target lock was not correctly deactivating on a miss if weapons were firing a rate of 720 RPM or higher. Fixed an issue where some players were unable to acquire the Risk Corner Catalyst. Quicksilver Storm and Touch of Malice are now correctly damaging minor enemies. And in terms of power and progression, they fixed an issue where certain ghost and weapon mods were not correctly unlocked, and fixed an issue where certain players were missing patrol destinations. Now, into the main bulk with the TWAB. So, going through it, they also give a C'est la vie, adios to Holiday, which, I gotta admit, it didn't feel earned. Like, her death, it hurt like hell, but it also didn't feel like it was worth it. Yes, she died saving people being the Guardian Way, but literally looking at the season, we lost Rasputin last season. We lost Rohan, which is the better of the two Cloud Striders. And now we lost the end of the campaign. Like, the Witness won, and we're all reeling from that. And then we lose Holiday. That didn't feel earned. It didn't feel like she actually had to die. It just felt like they killed her just to make us sad. Regardless of my own issues with that. Getting into the stuff that changed now, the difficulty things I was just talking about. Regarding the enemy health, they reduced basically HP scaler and Legend of Master activities by 10%. Co-op enemy health scalers is down by 33% in a full fire team. The changes to commendations, and then as well the basic preview of the mid-season weapons changing. So going into things, basically, the increase in damage for the following weapon types against red and orange bar enemies in PvE. Auto rifles, up 25%. Pulse rifles, hand cannons, and sidearms, up 20%. Scout rifles, up 10%. Now, SMGs and bows, they think those are at a good area, but they will keep doing as needed. Then, into archetypes. Aggressive frame, submachine gun specifically. Ikelos, they removed some tuning in the customized scope that, for some reason, gave it way less recoil than others. They also noticed that while this change is in isolation, they're also going to adjust aggressive frames in general, so they're not at a 0.67 or what was it, a 0.57 for the Immortal, and to have a more, nerfed state for aggressive frame SMGs. And for fusion rifles and Crucible, they increase burst damage by 15. Damage per burst goes from 245 to 260, and damage per volt goes up just a little bit, and the PvE damage is unchanged. Then, with Trace Rifles and Crucible, increase base damage by 4%, reduce precision hit multiplier to 0.15 or 1.35. Crit goes down. Crit goes up. Okay, so just barely. Increase the effectiveness of stability and reducing flinch by 10%, and 100 scrat scales down to lower values. They're also buffing rapid frame sniper rifles, reducing the recoil by 50% and increasing the total ammunition for magazines and reserves by 30%. So I'm not gonna lie, Irukanji, that might be even better now. Now, in terms of specifics, they are changing some stuff. Final Warning can no longer track through Titan barricades anymore. TWAB, they've reduced the amount of Ravenous Beast energy when taking damage by 3 to 1%, which I don't think is what made it broken officially. They also reduced Zoom from 16 to 15%. Now, for Revision 0, they made a change, and I was worried about this initially, but the 4th times the charm perk will now be reset when entering Hunter's Trance. This will prevent the issue of firing a single shot while in Hunter's Trance and being forcibly returned to Pulse mode while 4 times the charm activates. Basically, if you had 4 times the charm active, you shot a few things, and then swapped to high caliber mode, occasionally you would fire 1 round and instantly go back to the other with only 3 rounds in the mag. That has been changed, hopefully fixed now. They also increased the PVE damage of the Hunter's Trace over high caliber rounds by 25%, and the Heavy Burst 2 Burst mode is increased damage by 75% to make up for it, which that might actually be worth it now. Now, I'm actually going to show you something, and they're going to talk about this further, but they're actually adjusting, making unique hipfire reticles for various weapons and perks. Basically, as some things would just change normally, it's kind of hard to tell just because of qualities. Hang on, let me see if I can improve that. Alrighty. So you see like a sword, its charge rate is in the hipfire reticle to be visually at there and resetting as you go. And then they also show things like Touch of Malice, which has a unique perk that once it triggers, it will actually change the hipfire reticle to indicate it is active and give you a better idea of where things go. And then also a variety of other things like Ace of Spades, how when you get Memento Mori active, it'll have 6 dots to represent the active Memento Mori rounds. And it continues, and I feel like these aren't the only changes that we're getting, but I also feel like this is definitely a precedent for how things will change going forward, as we can also see with something like this Quicksilver. It has the 3 dots. The dots are active once you switch to grenade mode, and then you have dots to indicate how much you got. So you don't need to, and I think that also helps keep things down, because as much as things like Vex here, you can see the overcharge to tell how many shots you're getting, but we don't exactly need it on the side of the screen if we have it in the hipfire reticle. So yeah, that could be a way to also reduce the amount of clogging in our screen in the future. But moving forward, so at Season 21 launch, of course, basically a sweeping rework of hipfire reticles to change things, aggressive frame SMG nerf, a 10% PvE buff for the sniper rifle damage, and buffs and adjustments to more than a dozen exotic weapons, including Graviton Lance and Salvation's Grip. Not gonna lie, Graviton Lance felt really freaking good. Like, I was using a Graviton Lance Void build with Retropid Escapade and Nothing Manacles, not Nezerac, Sin, Nothing Manacles for a Grenade Volatile style build, and it was feeling really good, especially in Root of Nightmares, where, obviously because of Cabal Shields and all that, I was proccing Turnabout almost constantly. It also has Warp Bowl, so currently while it's barrier champions, it's really good against the barriers. So I really don't think that Graviton needs a buff. I'll take a buff, but I don't think it needs it. Now they're also going to be in the future looking at how Zoom interacts with damage fall off. This is to kind of reduce the necessity of rangefinder being on every single roll that you want extra range on, and a variety of other things. And they're also trying to decouple damage fall off from Zoom entirely. So hopefully this means something can be high Zoom but low damage or something like that. Now, they also wanted to address something about Kvastov, and the fact that even though we see it everywhere, we don't have an exotic version of it. Now, basically the TLDR in this is that there were several scenes where our Guardian would be holding a specific weapon. A case they also tell us about is the end of the Witch Queen campaign, where you have a weapon drawn on Savathun as she's dying. And that allegedly they have everything was okay, but then certain things like bows and glaives made that weird. And so in the ending cinematic, they wanted to address that and give us a base weapon that can be used by everyone, and something that everyone definitely has, so they didn't have to animate 50,000 different ways of a cutscene just because they wanted to make new room for different weapons. And they also did that for a variety of other things, like the freaking commendation screen, so there is that. They also want to take a, they also want to give us a sneak peek and ways to also help us understand animations and how things would go sometimes, and like this, where we see in the cinematic Pro being held up by Holiday, and what they actually saw is like the variety of animations showing that this is really a cursed image. So, there's that. And also, this is going to be a long portion. There is a lot of wallpapers they gave us for computers and or computer walls and mobile things. So this might hurt your eyes to go through, maybe avert your eyes for a second, but this is basically everything. I'm just kind of going through. There's lots of stuff. If you want to take a look at it yourself, you're more than welcome to. Now, this is also the player's report. So, loadout crashes. They're aware of an issue where attempting to equip certain loadouts can cause game crashes for players. Recommend that players experiencing code Weasel when equipping loadouts ensure the class items are using the updated version of the Empowered Finisher mod as outlined in last week's hotfix. That might be an issue I'm having. I thought it was just a strand subclass, but it might be Empowered Finisher. Then the Guardian rank update, as we know, they also just adjusted some of the requirements for 7, 8, and 9 ranks, and of course, you know, there's that. And then known issues, which I'm not gonna lie, is most of the same ones. Preservation mission in the Throne World is not available to some people. Hydroponics, the Legendary Lost Sector, has a longer respawn timers. Veteran players do not receive the correct amount of lore books when ranking up for the first time. Reservoir Burst Explosion with Subsistence can sometimes fail. Adept Trials Hand Cannon is getting one less round than the non-adept version. Grav Lift is tied to frame rate, causing players to die upon landing. Non-Lightfall quests showing up in the Lightfall category. Hunter Thunderhead grips are missing ornaments for armor synthesis. Certain heavy types getting wrong masterwork slots. Or no, that's actually wrong. Not benefiting from third reserve mods. Players being unable to equip the Unbroken title. Restoration reverting to a lower timer when reapplying the original source of the buff. Weapons can mark things through Titan barricades. Threads of generation stops functioning on hunters for grenades that aren't grapple after supers. Unpowered melees can produce fast melee combos in quick succession. Players experience a black screen when previewing armor bundles on PS5. And players on Steam are unable to progress past the class loading spinner on launch. Please send us your DX diagnostic for help in the forum. Commendations are grayed out as well as already given some activities. And by the way, the Bigfoot glitch is back, Bungie. I don't know if you know that. Then we also get some movies of the week, which I read this one. This honestly just looks amazing, so I'm going to skip a little bit forward just so you can see why this one's great. And 3, 2, 1. I'm assuming that's one person riding a rocket and one person riding another person. But that just looks great. And then as well, there is also the Art of the Weeks, most of it featuring Nezarec and Eris Morn. But aside from that, that is pretty much the end of the TWAB. That is everything. Now, and like I said, there's some question marks that I have going forward, like the actual death of Amanda Holiday didn't feel earned, but a variety of other changes. But, you know, the world goes on. I am not a developer. I don't have a say in this. It's just my feedback. So there you go. My name is Matt Scorpion. I will see you in the next video.